What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Today, I'm super excited because we are doing one of my favorite types of videos to film, and that is a full face of dupes. We all know makeup has gotten outrageously expensive, especially recently. Like some of these brands, I'm like, girl, these price points are high. However, the other day I went to Five Below and I was literally shocked. First, at the makeup selection there, they have a ton of makeup, a lot more than I remembered them having in the past. And they had a lot of look-alike makeup products. Like some of these, I'm like, oh my goodness, like it is so similar to the original. I honestly don't know how they get away with it. So I was like, all right, I gotta buy some of this stuff to see if any of this is any good. All of it was under $5 too. And for basically every single one of these products, aside from one complexion product, I do have the high-end equivalent. Like this one at Five Below is obviously supposed to be looking like the Charlotte Tilbury contour one. So we're gonna put it to the test right next to the OG original to see how they compare. So without further ado, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel if you have not already and click the little bell right next to the subscribe button to be notified of all my future uploads, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before we jump into makeup, we need to prep this skin. This we are not using dupes for. A lot of times like the Dupes skincare products do not work for me because the ingredients are just like not the tea. However, the products that I'm using today, honestly, you don't need a dupe for because they're already insanely affordable and insanely good. And even better is they are discounted for Black Friday right now on Amazon. They're having a major sale, which I am super excited about. Some of these you guys have heard me talk about before. I've talked about this Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Daily Sun Gel before. It is so good. But first, to prep the skin, we're gonna go in with the Isntree Green Tea Fresh Toner. I've used like almost half of this bottle. You really only need a little bit of this stuff, and it is insane. I deal with a lot of texture on my skin, especially in like the cheek area right here and on my forehead. I've always had it, and this has helped a lot with it. I'm gonna just put a little bit in my hand. You can of course use like a cotton round to apply this if you prefer, but I just use my hands and press into my skin. A lot of other products that have helped over the years with my texture are very drying. Like they're too drying for my skin, where this is not drying whatsoever at all. Like it still feels hydrating, but really helps with the texture. Also does help with like your pores and excess oil production, but it is not going to dry out your skin, which is what I really like. It's very like gentle in that way, but it's actually effective and works. I also do want to show you guys on a little cotton round what it looks like because they do not use artificial coloring, which I actually really appreciate. So it does have this natural like greenish brown tone to it. So don't be scared if you see it looking like that. It's just because they don't have artificial stuff in it changing the color of it. And next, their Hyaluronic Acid Daily Sun Gel. Now, even though we're in the winter months, you still need to be wearing an SPF on your skin. It is very important. You always want to keep your skin protected. And this SPF is actually perfect for the girlies who maybe don't like the feeling of SPF on their skin, because honestly, this feels more like a moisturizer to me than an SPF. It's very hydrating. It glides on super smoothly and leaves your skin feeling fresh and moisturized. It's not gonna give you that like sticky, kind of greasy sunscreen feeling. Also does not leave a white cast, like completely blends into the skin, which I like, and gives a beautiful glow. So it honestly, like even if I'm not going outside, I like to use this because I'm like my foundation and everything always looks better underneath this because it gives my skin such a glow. It's like the perfect primer, but also giving you that SPF protection. It is SPF 30 and has 10 different types of hyaluronic acid in it, which is incredible. So like I said, these are going to be on major sale for Black Friday. I'm talking like 40% off, making them incredibly affordable, but these are actually incredibly high quality. Like I'm telling you, if you try these, you will love them. So I will link them down below, direct link to them on Amazon for you guys to check them out. I would highly recommend. They have a lot of really great products, honestly. So if you're looking for more skincare, I would definitely check out all the stuff that they have because they're going to be having a bunch of different sales across their products for Black Friday on Amazon. So check them out. I will have them linked down below. Okay, let's jump into some of the dupes. So first we have the Lazy Days Perfect Complexion Hydrating Skin Tint. So this is supposed to be a dupe or lookalike of the Summer Fridays Skin Tint, which that is the only product that I do not have to reference this against. I've actually never tried it. So we're just gonna try this out as a skin tint on its own and just see if it's any good. I believe I paid $4 or $5 for this. It had a few different shades. I got shade 2. So I'm just gonna go in on one side with this so we can see. I don't really know like what the coverage of it is, so I don't know how much I'm gonna need. Okay, definitely very, very, very light coverage. Blending on really nicely, especially on top of that SPF. I feel like this mixed with that is giving us such a glow. Skin tint, definitely the correct term for it though. Like don't buy this thinking that it's gonna be like a full coverage foundation or really give you any coverage at all. Just gonna give a slight tint to the skin. Like for me, my face is always a lot lighter than my neck is, so this helped to like match my face to my neck a little bit better, but you can still definitely see like my redness and stuff peeking through. However, it does look really nice. It's not overly like dewy or super glowy, so if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna like this. However, if you want like something that's not like that or you prefer something more matte, I wouldn't say this is matte, but it's more like a natural finish. It's not leaving me super, super glowy. Like a lot of times when I use a skin tint, I want a little more glow than this. Overall though, I do think the skin tint is nice. Again, don't get this if you're looking for something that's gonna give you coverage, but if you just want a slight tint, it's not a bad product, especially for the price. All right, up next we have the Battle of the Contour ones. Now these ones are like, I mean, spot on. A lot of these really, they're like, the packaging is like the same. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. All right. So this is the Flawless Contour one in the shade medium. It does have like a little keychain thing on it, which is cute. Same exact component as Charlotte Tilbury. I gotta squeeze out a little bit more, I think. There we go. But exact same kind of like cushiony top. And they did have a couple different shades in this there, blended out. Because the thing about the Charlotte Tilbury one is that blends like butter. Like it is so beautiful. This one's blending pretty good though. I can't say that it's not. Definitely warm. Like this has a orangey kind of undertone to it, which we're gonna do the Charlotte on the other side, but I feel like the Charlotte one is more like brown. This one definitely has a very, very warm undertone to it. But you know, from a price point perspective, this was $5 and Charlotte Tilbury I think is like 30 something. Like she's not cheap. She's good, but she's not cheap. Okay, this is the Five Below one, all blended. Honestly pretty nice, but again, very warm. Like definitely has a lot of orangey to it. Where let's do Charlotte Tilbury on the other side. Oh, this one must have exploded last time I had it on the plane. Okay, that's one thing is you do have to lock these and I never do. I always forget and then they end up exploding like that and you waste a bunch of product. So I'm gonna put this on there. Yeah, I can already tell this one's more brown where Five Below definitely gave us warmer. This one is a bit more like if you're using this as like a contour and a bronzer, it's not, you know, this is not gonna be a contour just because it is so warm. Where Charlotte, I feel like can be used as either. Like you can use it to bronze the skin. I do like the shade on Charlotte better. Obviously it blends out beautifully. It's gonna be up to you if you think the shade difference is warranted to the price. I do prefer the shade on the Charlotte, less orangey, but a price difference though, Five Below's not bad. Okay, now we have two different blushes that I wanna try, so we're just gonna layer them on top of each other. I feel like that's the best way to try everything. Okay, we have the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrops. I love these. These are beautiful. This is like my favorite Glow Recipe product that they've ever come out with. I feel like they should make more like color cosmetics because this is really, really good. But we do have the Five Below little version. This is the Watermelon Pop Niacinamide Liquid Blush Amora Glow. They did have a couple different shades in this as well. I figured the one that this was closest to is the Watermelon Flush. So I'm gonna go in with the Five Below version on my cheek. We're gonna do this as like the Five Below side. Let's blend her out and see, this has big shoes to fill because I do really love the Glow Recipe. Very, very pretty. Sheer, like not super, super pigmented, which is very similar to how the Glow Recipe one is. It's more of a sheer product, but it just kind of gives that like pop of color. Let's do the Glow Recipe on the other side so I can show you guys the comparison rather than just talking about it. Let's blend her out and see. I feel like Glow Recipe is slightly more corally, where the Five Below one has slight more like pink to it versus coral and like orangey undertones. And Glow Recipe has a little bit more glow to it versus the Five Below side a little bit less glowy. So depending on your skin type and your preferences, that would be potentially a good thing for you or a bad thing. I would say the Glow Recipe has a little bit more of like a dewiness to it versus the Five Below one. But again, side by side, not substantially different, but a substantially different price point. Okay, the next blush, y'all, this is when I was like, I don't know how Five Below gets away with this. This is obviously supposed to be a Rhode blush dupe. They literally called it Hail. Like the brand or whatever is Hail. This is the Hail Lip and Dewy Blush in the shade Moonlight. It looks literally like the exact same component as Rhode. This is what it looks like. I did like mess it up a little bit because the cap went into it, but it's okay. I'm gonna apply it to this side. It's a little bit more of like a darker sort of rose color. The Rhode blush that I thought it was most similar to is Toasted Teddy. So it kind of gives like that sunburnt look, which I love. Now let's do Rhode on the other side. Again, I have shade Toasted Teddy, which is the one that I thought was most similar. Let me put them on my hand too, so I can show you guys. So this is Rhode Toasted Teddy. Very creamy right off the bat, which is something that I like. And then this is the, again, the shade Moonlight from Five Below. So not exactly the same. Toasted Teddy definitely more brown, Moonlight definitely more purple. So they're not gonna be the exact same color. And I feel like you can also tell on the hand. Rhode a lot glowier, dewier versus the Five Below one a little bit like drier. I feel like that's the best way to put it. But let's blend and see, because I feel like when you blend these out, they're not gonna look that different. Yeah, like I feel like it doesn't really look like I'm using two different sets of makeup on both sides of my face. Of course, there are gonna be slight differences. They're not the same product, but the price difference is kind of where you have to decide whether or not that means something to you. But if you really wanted to try the Rhode Pocket Blushes and just it's not in the budget for you to spend the price of those, you can get this for a lot cheaper. Again, I think it was, everything was under $5. Most of these products, there were a few products that were $4, but for the most part, pretty much all of them were $5. So very, very affordable, because I feel like nowadays you can barely find any drugstore makeup under $5. A lot of it's just over that. Okay, so far looking pretty good. Comment down below if you guys see like a major difference side to side. I would like to hear like your guys' thoughts on it, but me, myself, like looking in the mirror, the only thing I can tell is this side looks a little bit less glowy than this side, and aside from that, it's pretty dang similar. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of concealer. They did not have concealer at the store, so I'm just gonna use my own just underneath the eyes to complete the look. They didn't have a ton of like, when it came to complexion, the only thing that I really saw was this skin tint. Like they didn't really have like foundation or concealer type dupe products. Maybe we will see in the future them coming out with like concealers and foundations and more stuff like that. But at least at my store, they did not have any of that. It was mostly like blushes, lip glosses, contours, like all that kind of stuff. Alrighty, now let's move along to highlighter. We have a Rare Beauty highlighter dupe. I have the Rare Beauty here and the Five Below version here. Very, very similar. Honestly, I kind of like the Five Below with the little heart on the top. That's pretty cute. The shade in Rare Beauty is Enlighten that I thought would be closest to the Five Below. This one is in the shade Ethereal. I'm gonna pop this on the cheeks. Again, component literally exactly the same. Like the packaging and stuff is like very, very similar. I'm gonna blend this out with a little tiny brush. But sometimes I feel like with liquid highlights, your finger is like your best friend to blend, but this is actually blending pretty easily. Definitely giving a pretty glow. I do like that. Nothing too crazy, just like amping up kind of a dewy glow on the skin. Not gonna give you like super highlighty, which I don't mind. Let's compare it to the Rare Beauty though. Honestly, I haven't used this in a very long time, so I don't remember if these are like super highlighty or how they are. Let's blend her out to see. Okay, yeah, very similar actually. These are more like giving you that ethereal glow versus like a glitter sort of highlight. Really, really beautiful, but very similar to the Five Below one, I gotta say. These ones are really close. Dang, I should use this Rare Beauty highlighter more often, and the Five Below one, because they are both absolutely beautiful. I don't see them really being much different. They give like this beautiful, like ethereal kind of looking glow to the skin. I like it a lot, and both are looking very similar. All right, up next we have another Rare Beauty dupe, and this is for the brow gel. Now the Rare Beauty brow gel is one of my absolute favorites. So this I'm interested. This is Amora, and this is the Clean Brow and Lash Gel. So I guess you could use it as a clear like lash kind of coating. I do have a mascara that I want to try though, so we're just gonna go in with this on our brows. Very similar small spoolie. Let me show you exactly next to the Five Below one. I'm sorry, next to the Rare Beauty one. Now I'm getting them mixed up, but what I really like about the Rare Beauty one is how small the spoolie is. So the Five Below one is slightly bigger. This one's Five Below, this one's Rare Beauty, but it's still small enough that I feel like it does what I like about the Rare Beauty one, where I can really get in there and coat the brows without having it go all over my face. Sometimes I feel like brow gel spoolies are just too big, and I don't like that, because then when I'm really trying to get in, they're like going on the rest of my face because my brows are not that thick. Oh, this is pretty good. I was thinking this one was really not, you know, gonna be the tea, because again, that Rare Beauty brow gel I really like, but this is quite good. Really getting in there, coating those brow hairs. Has not changed the color of my brows at all, which is another thing that I really like about the Rare Beauty one, is it is clear. Does not change the color of your brows, and neither did this one. Pretty good. Oh my goodness, pretty good. Now let me go in with the Rare Beauty on this side. Again, I already know I love it. You know what I think though is what I would love to see Five Below do, because clearly like they have the ability to make these good formulas. Like this is a good brow gel, so just make your own instead of like stealing essentially like Rare Beauty's design. Like I would love to just see them come out with like a Five Below makeup line that's not necessarily focused on like stealing the design of other brands, but just like coming out with their own products, because it's obvious that they do have the ability to create good formulas, because like these products are good. Honestly, I feel like I might even like the Five Below one a little bit better. I feel like maybe this is my good brow though. Like I feel like we all have a brow we like a little bit better, and this one is the brow that I like a little bit better. So maybe that's why, but I feel like my brows look better on this side. I like this brow gel from Five Below for sure. Quite good. Alrighty, up next we have our mascara. So this is the W7 More Lashes Lengthening Mascara. I actually think this one was only $3. So this was actually probably the cheapest product that we have to try out. And this is obviously supposed to be a dupe of the Roller Lash from Benefit, which I really, really do love. If you've watched my videos in the past, I've always said the drugstore makes some of the best mascaras. Okay, it has the same curved wands. Let me show you right next to the Benefit one so you can see. Benefit is on top versus Five Below on the bottom. Five Below is a little bit wider, but ultimately quite similar. Let's see how they actually apply though. But what I will say is when it comes to high-end mascaras, the Benefit Roller Lash has always been a favorite of mine. That is a good product. And I will say off the bat, I don't think this one is as good. Let's see. Let me give it a second, but it feels like I have to keep going in. Like I feel like it's not getting coated on the brush enough, but maybe that is because like I literally just opened it. It's the first time using it, but it's kind of like a stickier formula and I have to keep going in, I feel like, to get more to coat my lashes. Doesn't look bad though. Like that still looks pretty good on my lashes. But let's go in with roller lash on the other side just so we can compare. It's been a while since I've used roller lash, honestly, because I feel like I'm always using like my drugstore. Actually, wait, why am I having the same thing with this one? I'm like, I gotta keep going in for more. So maybe it is pretty similar. Like I said, it has been a minute since I've used this one. Okay, honestly, not seeing a humongous difference. They're actually more similar than I thought. I feel like my lashes do look fuller though on the side with Benefit versus this side. It gave me a little bit less like volume to the lashes. And I feel like I did apply even more of this mascara on this side than I had to apply of the Benefit. But for $3, definitely not a bad mascara, like by far. And I feel like not a huge difference in the lashes. There's just like slight differences. I wanna make sure that I like let you guys know when there are. Because just because the product looks the same doesn't mean the formula is the same and it's the dupe, you know? So I wanna make sure I always like call out those differences. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have probably the most exciting one. Now this is the Rhode Peptide Lip Tint Lil Dupe. So this again is Hale, that's what they're calling the brand. And this is the lip protector in strawberry. I thought this probably looked most similar to Salty Tan, which this is actually one of my favorites from Rhode. So we're gonna use Five Below on the bottom. Yeah, very similar in color. Because what I like about Salty Tan is it's like, does it smell like strawberry? No, doesn't smell like anything. It has kind of like that very like neutrally kind of undertone to it, which I really, really like. So let me put Rhode on top. Yeah, it is really similar. Wow. I mean, can you tell literally any difference to my top and bottom lip? Like they look nearly identical. If anything, I feel like the Five Below one has a little bit smidge more pigment than the Rhode. I mean, the Rhode, again, this is one of my favorites. I like this product, but it is very, very similar. I feel like I don't see any real difference. All right, you guys, pretty good. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. Look at my makeup side to side and you can choose for yourself if you feel like there is a significant difference. I feel like the one where the biggest difference, honestly, that I can see is just like on the forehead where I see that contour. You can see the Five Below one is way more warm toned. Like I feel like I have like an orangey kind of streak here versus Charlotte Tilbury side, a lot more like toned down. But definitely I would say overall, pretty similar products. Let me know what you guys think. Are you gonna go to Five Below? Are you gonna check out any of these? Are you interested in them? Let me know if there's other, and they have a lot of products too. So if there's other ones that you saw there that you want me to do like reviews or first impressions on, I can definitely do that. But I feel like this was pretty dang good. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.